Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Soul Land 2 Peerless Tang Men based on novel. So let's start. Elder Xian, Elder Mu and the various elders from Shrek Academy charged towards the sky at the same time, trying to save him. However, Huo Yuhao suddenly shouted at this moment, "No one comes over." A terrifying spiritual intent was suddenly unleashed from his body, and everyone felt their spirits shaking. Even though their cultivations were more powerful than his, they still couldn't help but stop in the air. Di Qian's attack was extremely quick. In an instant, his purplish gold dragon claw had already landed on Huo Yuhao. He had captured Huo Yuhao. However, Huo Yuhao didn't resist at all. There was a calm look on his face, as if he wasn't bothered about this number one savage beast that was in front of him. He lifted his head and pushed his chest out. There was only a relieved and arrogant look on his face. As Di Qian's purplish gold dragon claws landed on Huo Yuhao's body, a terrifying force was transmitted into his body, and the rose gold flames were extinguished. This was Di Qian's strength. Even the Emperor Beast Wang Chua couldn't do anything when Huo Yuhao ignited his spiritual sea. However, Di Qian managed to stop it easily. Yes, Huo Yuhao had ignited his own spiritual sea when he tried to break free from Xian Lina and Yang Xiaozhe earlier. Otherwise, there was no way he could have scared off so many titled Doluo with his spiritual blast, no matter how strong his spiritual power was. Right now, his spiritual sea that was burning had been extinguished. As Di Qian retracted his claws, Huo Yuhao was also brought in front of him. Huo Yuhao wasn't even half as tall as Di Qian's golden eyes. He looked extremely small in front of Di Qian. "Bastard! You were the one who seduced the Emperor Beast and made her sacrifice herself as a sacrifice for you. Do you not believe that I have countless ways to torture you and make your life worse than death?" The terrifying pressure that came from him caused the space around Huo Yuhao to start cracking. The immense suction force that came from Di Qian even threatened to pull Huo Yuhao's spirit out. He started feeling intense pain throughout his entire body and spirit. However, Huo Yuhao had been through a lot of pain before. The pain that Di Qian inflicted on him couldn't compare to the excruciating pain he had suffered when he fused with the Ice Empress. It also couldn't compare to the pain he had suffered when he consumed the water from the blazing sunspring for Wang Donga. As for the pain that he felt in his spirit, how could it compare to the pain of watching Wang Donga enter a deep sleep and seeing Wang Chua sacrifice herself for him? Huo Yuhao was very calm. The intense pain he felt caused beads of perspiration to stream down his forehead. However, his face was still filled with arrogance as Di Qian grabbed hold of him. He didn't cry out in pain, and he wasn't going to beg for mercy. He just stared at Di Qian calmly. It was like the death that could come at any time meant nothing to him. Seeing Huo Yuhao willingly land in the hands of Di Qian, Elder Xian was extremely infuriated, and shouted furiously into the sky, "Di Qian, I swear on my status as the Hallmaster of the Sea God's Pavilion that I'll completely wipe out all the soul beasts in the Great Star Do Forest if you dare to harm him." Yes, the beast wave might have come because of Huo Yuhao. However, how much had Huo Yuhao contributed to the academy during these years? He had created spirits, which had never existed before, and played a huge role in helping Shrek Academy's soul tool department thrive. He, Bei, and the rest had established the Tang sect, and helped the academy achieve the highest glory in the previous 2 Continental Elite Advanced Soul Master Academy tournaments. He was also an heir to the Sea God's Pavilion, chosen personally by Elder Mu. He had an ultimate martial soul, and was the pride of Shrek Academy. He had even led the Tang sect to save almost all the hostages that had been imprisoned by the Sun Moon Empire. It was an accident that the Emperor Beast had sacrificed herself for him. This calamity that descended upon Shrek was just fate. Just as this calamity was about to be fully unleashed onto Shrek, he appeared once again, and was willing to sacrifice himself to overcome this calamity. How could Elder Xian watch him die without doing anything? Di Qian coldly replied, "I never intended to let Shrek off. I'll kill all of you. I'd really like to see how you plan to turn the entire Great Star Do Forest into corpses." "I can do it," Huo Yuhao suddenly said coldly. Even under Di Qian's pressure, he still tolerated the agonizing pain, and this spiritual intent was still accurately passed into Di Qian's mind. "I have the legacy of the Emperor Beast's sacrifice. I now control the power of destiny that she once controlled. Perhaps I'm unable to defeat you or decide your fate. However, I can at least decide my own fate. I can end my own destiny with a thought, and die just like that. When that happens, I'll end the destiny of the great star Do Forest too. Beast God, do you believe in destiny? Huo Yuhao uttered that last sentence word by word. Every word that he said was filled with immense spiritual power. Are you threatening me? Di Qian roared furiously. Huo Yuhao calmly replied, you can say so. If Shrek is destroyed, the great star Do Forest will follow it. As the beast god, aren't you going to think about your subjects? Di Qian furiously said, Shrek City has harmed my subjects for years. This blood feud can only be washed clean with human blood. Huo Yuhao snapped, all of you deserved it. If you hadn't led the Soul Beast army to attack us, you wouldn't have suffered such heavy losses. However, you still have half of your subjects. The great star Do Forest can still maintain its ecological balance. Let's first ignore the fact that my death will end the destiny of the great star Do Forest. Ask yourself, how many of the soul beasts outside the city right now will be able to survive after you destroy Shrek? Will the three empires in the Doluo continent let all of you off? To them, the great star Do Forest is a huge treasure vault. Even after you destroy Shrek, the forest will still have suffered great losses. The three empires will find it a fantastic opportunity to move on the forest. The great star Do Forest is doomed if Shrek is destroyed. You'll still have hope if you retreat now. Di Qian suddenly calmed down, and his golden eyes also deepened. He stopped roaring, and interacted with Huo Yuhao using his spiritual intent too. Yes, you are right. Shrek's destruction might catalyze the great star Do Forest's annihilation. However, are you sure humans won't destroy us, even if we retreat now? You are wrong. They'll still continue to target us. Humans are greedy. When there were only soul masters, a large number of soul rings were already required. Now that there are soul engineers, some of the ordinary soul masters that originally weren't supposed to advance to higher tiers can also improve through some special methods. Even if the quality of the soul rings that they require are lower, they still have to kill soul beasts to obtain those soul rings. Now that the great star Do Forest has suffered greatly, we'll be unable to protect ourselves in the future. As your soul tools become stronger, will there be room for the survival of soul beasts? While the Emperor Beast sacrifice is one of the reasons we started this beast wave, it's not the only reason. More importantly, we've found it necessary to stop your evolution before we become your slaves and are destroyed. Huo Yuhao was shocked by Di Qian's sudden composure. He no longer sounded as crazy as he was earlier, or perhaps he had actually never gone berserk at all. Beast God, I have a question for you. Huo Yuhao tried his best to keep calm. He was clear that Di Qian would be able to clearly sense any spiritual undulations from him no matter how slight they were. Ask me, Di Qian replied. However, Huo Yuhao could see a trace of loneliness in his huge golden eyes. Huo Yuhao asked, you're the king of all beasts, the protector of all soul beasts and the number one savage beast, as appraised by humans. However, you've got to admit that humans are much more intelligent than soul beasts. Am I right? Di Qian replied, yes, you are right. Otherwise, humans wouldn't have been able to evolve from their position as prey to what they are today in a short few tens of thousands of years. Even though I'm not willing to admit it, humans are indeed the rulers of the entire continent. Huo Yuhao said, do you really think that humans didn't realize the imbalance that was arising between humans and soul beasts as soul engineers became popular, and the number of both soul masters and soul engineers increased? Perhaps most soul masters and soul engineers ignore this because of their own interests, but there are bound to be some with great foresight that have recognized this problem, right? After all, what good does it do for humans if soul beasts are destroyed? We'll lose our source of soul rings. If there aren't any soul masters in the future, this profession will forever be lost to history, right? That will be extremely harmful towards the development of both soul masters and soul engineers. After remaining silent for a brief moment, Di Qian said, so what? Are humans able to stop the greed of soul masters and soul engineers? And stop hunting and killing soul beasts? Huo Yuhao replied, I've no way of doing so. Every living creature is greedy in his own way. No one is willing to give up an opportunity to become stronger. Your wish is that humans will stop pursuing soul rings, but that's impossible. We can only settle a problem about interest using interest. Di Qian was stunned, using interest. Are you saying that you have a way of settling this problem regarding soul rings? Huo Yuhao replied, I'm not certain, but we could give it a go. Can you relax your suppression of me? I won't run. Otherwise, I wouldn't have appeared. I've something to show you. Seeing how sincere Huo Yuhao was, Di Qian slowly nodded, and relaxed his grip on Huo Yuhao. At the same time, he retracted some of the suppression that he had forced on Huo Yuhao. Huo Yuhao felt more relaxed at this point. Even though he had made a good start, he didn't dare to slack off. He was clearly aware that the beast god might erupt any time if he said or did anything wrong. Things were also very quiet down below. Elder Xian, Elder Mu and the other strong individuals from Shrek were watching tensely. Di Qian's sudden silence left them slightly weirded out, but they didn't make any moves, seeing that the beast god hadn't killed Huo Yuhao yet. The body Doluor Dubuzi had already crawled back to his feet. He looked very miserable right now, not expecting the beast god to be so strong. When Di Qian unleashed his full strength, Dubuzi had felt that he was completely irresistible. The teachers from Shrek Academy were quickly organizing the students, while the Shrek City Defense Army meditated and rested. No one knew what was going to happen next, but every bit of soul power they recovered would earn Shrek an extra glimmer of hope. A streak of white light shone from Huo Yuhao's Eye of Destiny. In the next moment, a petite figure appeared in front of Huo Yuhao. It was a young lady, who looked to be around 14 or 15 years old. Her dress was a spotless white as it swayed in the wind. Her genie-like deep blue eyes oozed a boundless, chilly intent, but there seemed to be a lack of quick-wittedness within them. Even though Di Qian was experienced and knowledgeable, he was still stunned when he saw the Snow Lady. After all, she was released from Huo Yuhao's eyes. Furthermore, he could tell that this wasn't some sort of soul skill. Huo Yuhao's martial soul had been switched. 1 red and 4 orange gold soul rings slowly rose around him. As he looked at the different glows that came from his soul rings, before looking at the Snow Lady in front of him again, Di Qian's golden eyes revealed a confused look. I am a different soul master. I possess twin martial souls, and this is my second martial soul, the Ice Jade Empress Scorpion. Huo Yuhao could also make the Ice Empress and Sky Dream Iceworm appear, but he didn't do so. When he had faced Di Qian earlier, he could sense the Sky Dream Iceworm's hatred towards him. It was unforgettable. Undoubtedly, Di Qian was the mastermind who had forcefully tried to snatch the Sky Dream Iceworm's million-year accumulation. As for the Ice Empress, Huo Yuhao wanted to hide her existence, because the Ice Empress was conscious. If he revealed anything suspicious, things might turn counterproductive. Di Qian nodded as he sensed the aura of ultimate ice coming from Huo Yuhao's body. It's indeed the aura of the Ice Jade Empress Scorpion. You are indeed blessed by ultimate ice. Is this the Ice Sky Snow Lady? Can your soul ring produce a summoning type soul skill? After finishing this last sentence, he also became a little uncertain. Huo Yuhao shook his head and said, from the colors of my soul rings, you can tell that this isn't a simple soul skill. Can't you tell who she is? With a thought from Huo Yuhao, the Snow Lady moved. She lifted her right hand, and a streak of deep blue sword light shot out like a bolt of lightning towards Di Qian's forehead. As the sinister chill approached, Di Qian's eyes shone with golden light before the sword light was crushed. However, he immediately opened his eyes wide as he realized that it was a familiar chilly intent. Is this the Snow Empress unparalleled chill? You are the Ice Sky Snow Lady. Di Qian couldn't help but exclaim as he looked at the Snow Lady in front of him. The Snow Lady drifted in the air, but she didn't move from her position. She naturally wouldn't react to Di Qian's question. Di Qian's gaze quickly shifted to Huo Yuhao's body, and it turned sharp. How is this possible? Why is the Ice Sky Snow Lady in your body? What is the relationship between you? She seems to be unaware. Huo Yuhao nodded gently. The Snow Empress situation represents hope for the future between humans and soul beasts. I met her at... Huo Yuhao started to recount how he had first encountered the Snow Empress embryo, and transformed the Snow Empress into a spirit. He didn't even conceal the truth about Electrolux's existence. He even went so far as to talk about his spectral demiplane. It wasn't easy to earn the beast god's trust. Huo Yuhao had no choice but to do this. Di Qian would have certainly sensed the presence of the undead army earlier. He needed to prove that everything he said was true beyond the shadow of a doubt. Without his spectral demiplane, he couldn't have summoned an army of 100,000 undead, given that he was only a soul sage. He only hid the existence of the Ice Empress and Sky Dream Iceworm. Di Qian listened silently to Huo Yuhao's story, but his emotions were undulating throughout. However, he hid them very well, and Huo Yuhao couldn't tell anything from his emotions, or the look in his eyes. What Huo Yuhao was certain about was that the beast god heeded his words. However, you still failed in the end. The Snow Empress lost her spirit and her awareness. How can this spirit that you talk about be considered a success? Huo Yuhao calmly replied, yes. You are right. I can't guarantee that the conversion into a spirit can be successful. However, how can we determine the success of this experiment just through one try? We can only ascertain the possibility of success with more attempts. However, at least we found a new route that we can take. The Snow Empress gave me 4 soul rings. I didn't kill any soul beasts for these 4 soul rings. They were willingly offered to me by the Snow Empress. In addition, the existence of my spirit is more beneficial to me than having soul rings. This is what I mean when I said that a problem of interest can only be resolved with interest. If a soul master can obtain a spirit, he won't need a soul ring at that particular rank. In addition, it's even more beneficial for him. Don't you think he'll agree to this arrangement? At the same time, a spirit can bring more than just one soul ring to a soul master, and it can even be controlled by a human and a soul beast together. A soul master might pursue a higher tier soul ring, but what about soul engineers? Furthermore, if a top tier soul beast is used to fuse with a soul master to create a spirit, and this soul beast is compatible with me, why wouldn't I be willing to obtain more soul rings from it? These are what we have been researching. It's a pity that we can't complete this research by ourselves. The reason is very simple. We find it very difficult to find soul beasts that are on the verge of death, and are willing to trust us. To a certain extent, the Snow Empress spirit failed, because the Snow Empress embryo was stuck in a special situation, in which it was on the verge of exploding. At that time, it was already difficult for us to ensure that she wouldn't die. However, I'm confident of succeeding if we establish a pact. This is why I hope to receive the help of soul beasts for my future research in this aspect. If you're willing to personally find a few soul beasts, who are in this state to fuse with a few of our human soul masters that have reached their bottlenecks, you can help to prolong the lives of those soul beasts. Even though they might only be able to survive for another 100 years by following a human soul master or soul engineer, they'll at least be able to experience this world in a different way. Their lives can be extended for a slightly longer period of time, which should be better than just dying. If this research is successful, soul masters will have more choices in the future. Every soul master can even wait until their soul power accumulates to a sufficient standard before fusing with a spirit. I even hope that if spirits can provide enough soul rings for us, we can let these spirits leave these soul rings behind of their own accord. When soul masters and soul engineers need them at some stage, they can actively fuse with these soul rings. In this way, humans and soul beasts might not remain enemies in the future, but friends that rely on each other. I'd be satisfied if we could achieve such a result. Huo Yuhao didn't continue speaking. He knew that his ideals were slightly contradictory to those of both soul beasts and humans. The beast god needed time to think and understand his intentions. He stopped talking and waited quietly. When he flew up from the southern city wall today, he had already disregarded his own life. No matter what others thought, he believed that he was the one who had brought this calamity to the Great Star Doe Forest. If he couldn't stop this calamity, he was willing to die for Shrek. Huo Yuhao, who was much calmer than he had been in the past, had another thought. The greatest barrier to the research on spirits was what he mentioned earlier. There weren't enough dying soul beasts that were willing to cooperate. If he could convince the beast god, it would be extremely beneficial to his research on spirits. Di Qian remained silent for a while. After some time, he slowly lifted his head. I've never heard of the things you've mentioned to me. I don't know if you're trying to trick me. However, I can tell you that I'll risk everything to destroy Shrek City if you are lying to me. This time, we've indeed suffered great losses. However, Shrek City will no longer have the protection of the Golden Tree if there's a next time. Are you willing to follow me into the Great Star Doe Forest to attempt your research? You need to prove your words with actions. I'm willing. Huo Yuhao replied without any hesitation. Di Qian nodded and said, all right, then you shall follow me and remain in the Great Star Doe Forest. The three-eyed golden lion is dead, and you carry the destiny of the forest with you. From now on, if you remain in the forest and continue your research on spirits, I'll retract this beast wave right now. Huo Yuhao remained silent for a moment, then said, Beast God, I'll definitely continue my research into spirits. However, I can't always stay in the Great Star Doe Forest. There are still many things that I have to do, and thus I can't make that promise to you. Di Qian's aura suddenly became more dominant. Do you think that I'm negotiating with you? The look in Huo Yuhao's eyes also turned sharp. I'm not negotiating with you, either. The two pairs of eyes that met were completely disproportionate. However, Huo Yuhao didn't seem to lose to Di Qian in terms of aura. If the beast god could maintain his cool, it meant that he was willing to think about the future of the Great Star Doe Forest. At least, he wouldn't just kill Huo Yuhao outright. This was what Huo Yuhao was depending on right now. Di Qian said, "Follow me back to the forest first." Wait a minute. Huo Yuhao suddenly said. What else do you want to say? The beast god's emotions seemed to be on the verge of ignition. Huo Yuhao answered, I want to say a few words to my elders and seniors from Shrek Academy first. If you just take me away like this, I'm certain that the Academy will move on the forest when they recover their vitality. They might even invite all the strong individuals from the entire continent to target the forest. Do you really want to see that happening? Di Qian was startled for a moment, then nodded slowly. That makes sense, and you're also qualified to do so. All right, I'll give you a few minutes. You can speak to them now. As he spoke, he released Huo Yuhao. Huo Yuhao had no intention of absconding. In fact, trying to escape from the most terrifying soul beast in the world right now would be a stupid move. Teacher! Huo Yuhao shouted at the top of his voice and kneeled down in midair. He kowtowed towards Elder Mu. When he shouted the word teacher, he was no longer as calm as before. Tears started to stream from his eyes. Elder Mu was also slightly shocked after hearing Huo Yuhao's exclamation. Yuhao, what's wrong? Are you fine? Di Qian, let him off. Otherwise, I'll destroy the entire Great Star Doe Forest. Di Qian snorted coldly, but didn't say anything. Huo Yuhao hurriedly said, Teacher, don't be rash. I've convinced the beast god to retract his army and end this beast wave. This beast wave started because of me. I would like to say a few words to you and the various elders. After Elder Mu, Elder Xian and Elder Song heard his words, they were stunned. He has convinced the beast god to retract his army. Di Qian went berserk earlier. Can he really be convinced with words? When they looked at the golden eyes black dragon king again, Di Qian was indeed much calmer than before. Even the purplish gold flames on his body had disappeared. Huo Yuhao continued, saying loudly, Teacher and elders, as we expected, the most important reason why this beast wave was started is because of the survival of soul beasts. I recounted the progress of our research into spirits to the beast god just now, and managed to convince him that I'll produce results for him to see. In this world, we and soul beasts are all part of the food chain. It's only by surviving together that we can maintain the ecological balance. This time, the Great Star Doe Forest has already suffered heavy casualties. Please trust me and let me dispel this hatred between humans and soul beasts. At the same time, I also obtained permission from the beast god to work with him to further our research of spirits. If it succeeds, humans and soul beasts will no longer be enemies in the future, but partners. All the elders and strong soul masters from the body sect couldn't believe it. Huo Yuhao had actually managed to persuade the beast god by himself. It was too unbelievable. The entire body sect was lost, including Dubuzi. They were all thinking, what are spirits? Elder Mu was a little doubtful as he replied, Yuhao, you. Huo Yuhao said with certainty again, Teacher, don't worry. I'll do my best to complete this task for Shrek, and for peace between humans and soul beasts. I hope you can find some volunteers in the academy that have reached their bottlenecks and need soul rings. I'll lead them to carry out my experiment on spirits in the future. Right now, I'll follow Di Qian back into the Great Star Doe Forest. Don't worry, I'll be fine with Di Qian's protection. No. After hearing that Huo Yuhao was going to return to the Great Star Doe Forest with Di Qian, all the elders shouted in unison. Di Qian snorted coldly and said, None of you have any say in this at all. His words have moved me today. On his account, I'll temporarily withdraw my army. If his words are lies, HMPH. After he finished speaking, he grabbed Huo Yuhao tightly and beat his wings forcefully. As he exuded a majestic aura, he flew towards the direction of the Great Star Doe Forest. At the same time, he let out a deafening dragon roar. The soul beast army outside Shrek City started to move. Under the command of the 4 savage beasts, they left with the injured soul beasts, and tried their best to drag some of the soul beast carcasses with them as they retreated back into the Great Star Doe Forest. After seeing that the beast wave was retreating, the entire city descended into silence. After a brief moment, someone shouted, and cheers started to ring from all 4 sides. The sky turned brighter, and the sun slowly rose in the east. The rays of sunlight that fell as dawn approached illuminated the large number of soul beast carcasses outside Shrek City. At the same time, they illuminated Shrek City, and shone on the fatigued yet excited faces of everyone in the city. Shrek had emerged victorious. They had relied on slightly more than 10,000 soldiers to resist the onslaught of a beast wave from the Great Star Doe Forest for 2 days and 2 nights. As the beast wave retreated, Shrek City was preserved. Shrek had won. More than 1/3 of the soldiers and 20% of the soul masters from Shrek had been killed in this battle, and almost everyone was hurt. In addition, all the soul tools defending the city had been destroyed, and all the stationary soul cannon shells had been used up. In spite of all this, Shrek had still managed to attain victory. This was a victory in a battle between humans and soul beasts. This was a victory that belonged to all of Shrek. Elder Mu stared in the direction the golden eyes Black Dragon King had left in. There was a lost look in his eyes. Elder Xian respectfully asked, "Elder Mu, what should we do?" Yuhao. Elder Mu's lost look slowly turned into a comforted one. "That kid didn't disappoint me, he has really grown up. Let's just follow his words. Let's compensate the families of those who have sacrificed their lives in the line of duty, and quickly restore order in the city. At the same time, we'll have to treat the wounded. While the beast wave has retreated, this matter has only just begun. Let's announce our research on spirits to the soul masters of the body sect and heavenly soul empire that came here to assist us, and ask for volunteers while we await news from Yuhao. This war might actually not be a bad thing. If Di Qian is willing to coordinate with us in our research, soul beasts and humans might actually become friends." "Yes." Elder Xian acknowledged his words. Elder Mu took another look at Di Qian, who was slowly disappearing into the distance. Under the illumination of the sun, his elderly face was stained with an extra trace of gold, and he also wore a gentle smile on his face. A halo descended, and he returned to the golden tree once more. Dubuzi had been standing beside Elder Xian and Elder Mu throughout this exchange. Elder Mu didn't conceal anything from him when he spoke to Elder Xian earlier. Dubuzi clearly heard everything that Elder Mu had said. Spirits. What exactly are spirits? This secret regarding spirits was actually able to drive that Berserk beast god to retreat. I've never been so curious about this ultimate Doluo. Elder Xian turned around and said to Dubuzi, "Let's go. Follow me to the sea god's pavilion. I'll tell you everything about spirits." Dubuzi laughed and said, "Never did I expect that I'd be able to enter Shrek Academy in my entire life, under the condition that there's no loser between the body sect and Shrek Academy. Interesting. Xianzi, that kid who was taken by Di Qian earlier, must be the kid with his eyes as his body soul, am I right?" Elder Xian nodded slightly. Dubuzi twisted his lips. "I last saw him a few months ago, but he now has 7 rings instead of 5. Shrek Academy is indeed the #1 academy on the continent." Elder Xian laughed bitterly. "All right, that's enough. You can keep your sarcasm to yourself. He just came back today. When he left, he only had 5 rings. I don't know why he suddenly has 7 rings now." He naturally wouldn't reveal to Dubuzi that Huo Yuhao's enhancement was likely to be related to the Emperor Beast sacrifice. Shrek City started to settle down again. This time, the Great Star Doe Forest's vitality was greatly hurt along with Shrek Academy. However, Shrek Academy had managed to obtain huge rewards from this episode compared to the soul beasts. Not to even mention soul rings, the number of soul bones that were gathered after this battle exceeded the total number of soul bones that had been gathered in the entire history of Shrek. More than 200,000 soul beasts had been killed. Even if the possibility was only 1 out of 1,000, how many soul bones would still be produced? Moreover, soul bones were more likely to appear from 10,000-year soul beasts. The value of these soul bones and soul rings, as well as the soul beasts' carcasses that weren't dragged away, could more than make up for the Academy's losses. A few days later, caravans started to stream out of Shrek City and proceed in different directions. They only had one mission: exchange whatever Shrek had obtained during the war for rare metals. Soul tools had played a very important role in this battle. Without the Tang sect and Shrek Academy's soul tools, as well as the Tang sect's stationary soul cannon shells from the Sun Moon Empire, Shrek would have fallen under the attack of the Soul Beast army even before the reinforcements arrived. This video will end here.